this piece of paper that was in the brochure that you got, or in the folder rather, that you got when you came in. Because we've got some definitions here, right? We've got definitions of the Internet of Things and the definition of the Internet of Things for the purposes of this discussion. So rather than trying to define the Internet of Things, oh, and first of all, I want to thank all the panelists. Since they were leaving. So you've got this definitions thing, and we've got the broad thematic areas. Pam mentioned them this morning in her opening remarks, and they're going to be critical for framing the discussion over this afternoon. So how are we going to have that discussion over the course of this afternoon? What we've got, we're going to go to lunch in 1 minute if I keep this short enough. What we're going to do is we're going to get together at these tables. You'll notice that you are conveniently sorted into various tables. And what we're going to do is use these tables as the basis of some breakout sessions. So we're going to, it says here, appoint a leader, but of course in the multi-stakeholder world, we say so-called leader, because it's not really your leader. That's the stuckee who's going to have to talk to everybody else later. So be sure you want to be that stuckee if you're appointed the leader. And what we want to do is draw out some consensus and get some talking points working at the table. So the individual tables work on these issues. And it really has to do with what are IoT devices for the purposes of this discussion, with reference to, again, this piece of paper that you were handed on your way in. And use these thematic areas in order to structure that conversation. And then what we want to do is ask whether the definition is sufficient, whether this group can accomplish something in a year and what that is. So we want to have something that is concrete, that we actually do. We don't want to just talk for a year. That would be very, very dull. And then we want to make sure that we've captured everything that we really need to do to address these issues. We don't want to just produce something that is useless. The other thing that I want to draw to attention is something that that Pam said in her opening remarks today, which is about the broad utility. The internet, because of the way it works, Olaf was talking about that permissionless innovation thing about it, right? The internet is a network of networks, and that means that you don't have any central control. In a network of networks, there is no center, so you don't have a central point of control. That's the way it works. Because of that, what we've got to do is set stuff up that means that people will embrace it and actually use it. And the opportunity here, I think, is really to try to build something together that addresses the issues that we're facing and that can be a model for other people in the world, which is, I guess, why Jacques was just mentioning we shouldn't just duplicate things that other people have done. Why don't we just use that? Because that would be way easier. We wouldn't have to talk about it as long as it fits our needs. So those are the things we want to do. Now, after we've had these discussions and you come to this kind of agreement and everything over lunch, we've got until like 2 o'clock. At 2 o'clock, we're going to have a break. And some of us will be, sort of wandering around the room and trying to make sure that there are consensus things happening and so on, and trying to see whether we're getting the effects. We've got Larry with our expertise in how to run these kinds of sessions, and I'm sure he will be very helpful in drawing people together on those things. And then after 2 o'clock, we'll have a little break, and then we can actually have this group discussion. We can come back together and try to put out what things we've already figured out within the various tables and see whether we've got some common themes. If we've got some common themes out of that, that's already a result. And if we have disagreement among various groups about what those themes are, or we find deep disagreements, that's also a result. Finding where you disagree is part of the coolest part of multi-stakeholder processes, because what that does is it allows you to figure out what stuff you really need to talk about. And so that's actually one of the big things that we want to get out of today. And we'll talk about that from like 2:15 until 4 o'clock. We'll end up with a discussion about that, and then we can all go and scare the people at the Rideau Club with our information about how frightening their world is. The last thing I want to say about this is that I'm really, really grateful to be here and to have been invited to do this, because this to me is very exciting. I have worked in the internet in internet infrastructure since about 2001, and it doesn't happen that often that I think Canada is really completely leading in some of these things. Some of the time we are a little bit followy, and maybe we can be really significant leaders in this case. I think we have this opportunity. Canadians are nice, right? We like to get along. We like to cooperate. The internet is a collaborative effort, and this is our opportunity to collaborate and make it much better for all of us. So I'm really excited about this. With that, let's go and have lunch, come back and start discussing things. I know we all want to talk about other stuff, but we got topics to talk about. Thank you. One thing I should have mentioned over lunch, Katie will also be working with those over the live stream, and she'll provide instructions for